What's going on, sports fans? We're back with episode 6 of the Fan of the People podcast series, and I'm glad to finally share with you guys, hopefully, another great podcast. In this episode, we tried something a little different. Instead of posting it on Spotify or Apple Music or Anchor, I decided that we're going to start doing this on YouTube now. I've had a lot of Zoom classes, and I've decided, well, I can make a podcast on Zoom. That's exactly what I did. My friend Raymond Bruno hopped on, and we just created an hour-long podcast talking about, different topics from TV shows, podcasts, sports. Even though there's no sports right now. Yeah, this is going to be a great podcast for you guys. I hope you enjoy it. It's about an hour long, so I know you're at home, probably laying on your bed, probably staring at the ceiling, doing absolutely nothing, probably, playing video games, like boring stuff like that. So just take an hour out of your day, either in the morning, afternoon, 3 a.m., whatever time you're listening to this podcast. I hope you enjoy it. So episode 6 of the Fan of the People starts right now. Boom. All right. So I'm back with another podcast with my friend Raymond Bruno over here, aka Bullseye 3313. Ray, say hi to the audience.
Hello, everyone.
Ray is hailing from East Walpole, Massachusetts, 50 minutes away from where I live, Providence, Rhode Island. And Ray, talk to him a little bit about what you're doing during this quarantine right now. How's it been for you?
It's been very boring. The first couple of weeks, I did a lot of broadcast editing, but now ever since school's been back, it's just been more classes and pretty much that every day.
Have you gotten a chance to go to Eplex at all?
No, we shut down Eplex about probably a week before. Probably the last week of March. We shut Eplex down just to be safe.
For the people at home who might not be familiar with Eplex, could you just give a quick description of Eplex and Easy Company and what it means to you and the family?
So, where do I even start? Easy Company is my dad's company. It's based off the 101st Airborne that was in World War II. Eplex is a indoor basketball half court we created about 4 to 5 years ago just for someone to do. And ever since then, we have tournaments there. Just people come by and shoot around. Everyone's free. It's nice to run threes in there during the summer. What was the other one you said?
Oh, how Eplex and Easy Company are just big parts of your life pretty much, and about the brand that you made of Easy Company. Can you just talk a little bit about what your dad does for that brand and what you guys have done for that brand?
I really think the brand kind of hits home for at least for me. It kind of is not just it's not just some name based off Band of Brothers, which is on HBO. It's more just about when I think of Easy Company, I think of home. I think of my friends that are involved with the company. That we have T-shirts, maybe we have shirts, jerseys, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
It's not just a single thing. It encapsulates so much more of just some random property management company that he has. It's more of just it's a family and friends type of environment.
Yeah. So during this quarantine, what are some of your thoughts on this online learning? Like, how challenging is it for you being a sophomore at LaSalle College?
University, Cameron.
University. Oh, I'm sorry.
I hate online learning. These classes right now are makeshift online learning for online classes. It's not really the same, obviously, but it's hard to learn this way. If it was a regular online class, you would at least have some consistencies with it. But at this point, you either just don't meet or it's through Zoom, and everything's kind of just rushed and not how it should be. So it's very very hard to do both at the same time, to try to be able to have one class be online, or one a regular online class, one be through Zoom, and then one just doesn't meet at all.
Mm.
So I mean, a lot of classwork is becoming homework at this point. So I just got assigned 3 history assignments that will probably take me 8 hours, just because it's not just a simple assignment. It's more just they're condensed. They're throwing everything at you that would have been classwork as well, which is very frustrating.
Mm. All right. For the fans back home, we're not going to be talking about this quarantine for the whole podcast. Obviously, everyone knows about what's going on with that and the sacrifices that you have to make. So let's just shift gears to this. So how do you feel, Ray, about the MLB planning on using Chase Field in Arizona and other spring training fields, to continue this baseball season in May?
I mean, I think I understand both sides of it. I feel like they need to get a profit. They're trying to lose some money. They want to bring sports back because it's very much hurting every single all sports fans in the nation right now. But they also got to play it really, really safe because you don't really know how this is going to go. Even with these smaller sites, you have coaches that are older, you have players that are really young, but like the coaches can still be affected regardless of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think they should just kind of wait, but at the same time, I understand where they're coming from and why they're trying to do it.
I mean, my thing is as a sports fan, I have been like waiting for something to watch, like some live sports to watch. I feel like I mean, I know you're the same way. Um, these rules that they're putting into that were reported, the no mound visits, 7 inning double headers, all this stuff. Like I really couldn't care. I really don't care really about, the rules that they implement in this so-called like league or whatever. But, if we're getting live sports, I think like that's a plus. Also the fact that like the MLB players like they're going to be going to Arizona for 4.5 months, playing baseball. Like, yes, it's going to be hot. Yes, it's going to be tough, sacrificing that time with your family. Um, but I mean, if they're getting paid $20 million to still do that, I don't see a problem. I don't see a big sacrifice from their point of view, on that end.
Well, I don't know if I understand this correctly. I believe they discussed that right now the service time is still active. So, like, what's it? Mookie Betts' 1 year deal remaining with the Dodgers. Right now, this is counting
Hmm.
towards his service time. And
Yeah.
and by having that happen, they also guarantee that money that they would be that they would be getting paid is still going to be in effect.
Hmm.
So if that's still happening, I mean, granted, I'm sure the players want to play and all that, but like at least that part is being settled because I mean, you have everyone's families at the same time, but they're already like how many weeks away from baseball already from the last spring training game or something like that. They probably would need like probably a week just to
Yeah, that's
get
true.
get more get situated because I mean you can only hit BP in your yard for so long.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I was just thinking about this too. Like, if the season technically never happens, if as a Red Sox fan, I mean, I think I still have hope that if the season never happened, I think that Mookie Betts could come back to the Red Sox. I think that he could come back to the Red Sox, take that money from the Dodgers that they're going to pay him anyway. We still have the prospects we got. He could be pulling the biggest shamu in baseball history.
It would be very funny if does come back to the Red Sox. It's almost like kind of what the Yankees did with the Aroldis Chapman. Was it 4 years ago they traded him to the Cubs when the Cubs won the
Yes.
World Series? They
Hmm.
traded away was it or Draw Russell, whatever his name is, to the Cubs for I think that's right for Chapman. Then they have just re-signing Chapman in the offseason. So that'd be kind of funny if that happens.
Yeah, like I mean, as a baseball fan, I mean, I'm waiting for the time where I can watch live sports and live baseball. But as a Red Sox fan, I really think that Mookie Betts could be coming back at the end of this so-called season or whatever. I mean, that's just something that's being thrown around that I think it would be hilarious if we take all these prospects from the Dodgers and everyone is saying, "Oh, the Dodgers won that. Like Dodgers are getting Mookie Betts, they're stacking up." But I mean, at the end of the day, like the Red Sox, I mean, it's still a Red Sox. Mookie Betts was great on the Red Sox. He still has it. He still could come back. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him for that to happen. Um, so I'm just looking at these rules that, were reported that, players wouldn't sit in the dugout. They'd sit, in the stands. How do you feel about that?
I I don't even know. That seems kind of weird to me. I mean I mean I understand the social distancing part, but I feel like they're just forcing it at that point. Like
Yeah.
if they're gonna play, and even to an extent, have the dugouts be involved. Yeah, just play it at that point. It
Like, I
just
was reading something too where like the NBA, I was reading this that the NBA wants to rent out the MGM Grand Resort, and they want to just throw everyone in the NBA, media, coaches, like everybody in that MGM Grand hotel. I mean, there's enough, rooms, there's enough space for all of them to just, be quarantined in there for the season. Obviously, I don't think they're going in that direction, but, would you like to see something like that?
I think that'd be kind of funny, like an old-fashioned AAU, like 5 courts being around the same time
Yeah.
underneath like a bubble per se. But that'd be kind of funny just to watch it. But I don't think there's any point in having that happen. I mean, like you said earlier, we're all missing sports at the same time.
Hmm.
But I'd rather have him come back and my life be back to normal than like. I mean, sure, it sounds kind of nice. I'm still quarantined, yet I can go watch a Red Sox game on TV.
Hmm.
That might, but at the same point, like, oh man, I wish I could go to that game at the same time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that at this point, sports at least until, you know, I think at least until late July is out the window. Unless the MLB can pull something like this off, I think that live sports is just out the window completely, and I think we're going to be stuck, watching rerun games and classics games and stuff like that. I mean, I can only watch the 2008 NBA Finals, so much. Like I can't be watching that every day, like
I've watched no reruns.
really.
No, I haven't. I've stayed away from ESPN. I haven't watched any reruns.
What kind of shows are you watching right now? You watching any big shows?
I'm Italian, so I'm watching The Sopranos to try to, as my brother says, it's family history in a way.
Oh, okay.
But just trying to get that out of the way right now. But I mean, besides that, nothing really. I watched the Barstool documentary. That was kind of nice to see
Okay, yeah,
how they progress.
I've caught up all the way. How do you feel about like watching that? Isn't it like it's so like interesting like seeing like this guy literally like it's true brick by brick. He just kept going up.
That is true, and it's kind of like so. People don't know where I am. I'm like, well, people say we're South Shore, but we're really not. We're more Metro West near Gillette. I'm near more Gillette Stadium, but like,
Mm,
I I uh I've been to the North Shore plenty of times, so it's kind of nice. And then so he was in the North Shore where Dave grew up, but his office for Barstool was in South Shore, Milton, and
yes.
I've been to Milton plenty of times, North Shore, that area a bunch of times. It's kind of cool to see. Oh, hey, I know these places. I know, like one of his friends went to Salem. We
Mm.
for PCD we played at Salem State. Or like Lynn, the city of sins. You don't come out the way you came in. It's true. I've been to Lynn. It's a nice place to go to. But it's cool to make those connections and see how he built the place up.
Yeah. What was your favorite chapter so far of the documentary? Like what was your favorite video?
I liked Sam Adams' song. I hate
Oh,
college.
okay,
I
yeah.
like that's been stuck in my head for about 2 weeks now. But I kind of like the first two just because like seeing it from the start because
Yeah.
I really was able to see that connection between like when he said like Marblehead, Lynn, Swampscott, Gloucester, all those, even Milton. Like I'm pretty sure I've driven by where they did the draft combine video in
Wow.
in Dorchester. Like I'm pretty sure I've driven by. I might not have known at the time, but I've seen it at field exactly before. So
Mhm.
it's kind of cool to like make those connections and all that.
Like I was talking to my dad about this, about like when he first heard about like Barstool. Does Richard like have a story of when he first heard about it, or was it more from you and Sal telling him about it?
I think he's told me like he used to see newspapers being sold. He never like consumed it or anything like that.
Hmm.
But it's definitely like was it 4 to 5 years ago when we like got more into it. He definitely says, "Oh yeah, I remember that company
Mm.
or that newspaper," but I don't think he ever really consumed it or anything like that.
Yeah, I just feel like people from like that area in particular, like that's who he references most of the time in his documentary. Like, oh, these like the Stoolies from like the North Shore or
Yeah,
that area. Like, I mean, obviously in Walpole or like in that area, like Boston sports and stuff like that is huge, and his fan base is just like people pretty much like you and me, like or you pretty much in that area. I mean,
exactly. And I don't know if so. Like I'm sure you know about. Well, I'll get to the Rocket in a second, but like Feidelberg, he went to Portsmouth Abbey.
oh wow, I did not know that.
He's from Fall River, so like obviously you and I have had our fair share of games against the Abbey
Yeah,
in our life.
yeah,
So it's kind of like, oh man, like you really don't notice that. And then like Carabas is from
the
Saugus.
Rocket, yeah.
I played in Saugus a couple of times this past summer, and it's kind of cool. Oh hey, this is where Carabas is from. He told me to go to the Calhoun. I was
Yeah,
not
that
even.
was that was crazy. Tell him a little bit about how you met Carabas at David Ortiz's like yard sale.
So it was like it was a Saturday morning. my brother Anthony, who I also call Sal, I'm not gonna get into that, but we wanted to go, but like it started at like 8 a.m. People were camping out since like 6 a.m. and I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to waste my time. But then our day kind of freed up a little bit before it was like might have been like 10 a.m. and we're like, hey, and I've seen some tweets that is still going on. And I follow the Kirk Minahan show, so they were kind of
Yeah.
still there, and I noticed they were there. I'm like, oh, hey, let's go over there. And so there was two lines per se. There was a line to the gate, then there's a line to get inside. The line at the gate, we were out there for like an hour, not that bad, but like we were like green ticket like 9, let's just say, but they were on blue ticket like 50 out of like 150.
Oh,
So like
wow.
we really like were pushing the limit because Anthony had practice at like 1.
Mm.
And like if we got something and then he was late to practice, it would have I'm not been okay, but we could have like let it slide per
Yeah.
se. But like by that point, we were like 20 minutes from we were like it might have been like 12:15. I'm like, Sal, just we gotta leave because like you're gonna be late to practice, and even by the time 1 o'clock hits, we'll still be here waiting another hour. So that was kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
We got some grass, which is pretty cool. Like, grass from the estate. And then actually, meanwhile, Anthony went to go move the car a little closer, and then Carabas came out, and I noticed him right away. I started talking to him a little bit, and
Yeah.
then got a picture of them. It was pretty cool.
What was the estate like? Like, talk to me about like what the scene was like at his house. Like, what did it look like?
It didn't look from the first look, it didn't look like a really big house, but then once you got past the gate, you could tell it was. They had like 3 big floors inside, from what I heard, and
Wow.
you kind of like if you peeked around back, you kind of see like how big it was and how like deep it was downstairs as well. But I mean, it was pretty cool to see it. I wish it went better. I don't like it was not run by like they didn't really it was just run by what's the word? It was run by a estate company. So like,
Mm.
you know, they were like I know actually jealous because like Carabas, he got like all David Ortiz's home runs on a VHR tape or some tape or whatever. Or
Wow.
DVD, whatever the case may be. For like a fan, that might go for like what, $30, let's just say.
Yeah.
For an estate sale, it's $5.
Oh, wow. Hmm.
So like the prices were very different.
Yeah.
Like I don't think they were evaluated correctly, but
It wasn't. Didn't evaluate it as like sports memorabilia. It was more just like yard sale stuff.
yes, but then they did have a memorabilia room, which I'm sure they then did price it according to that. But like there's always a hidden gem at a yard sale,
Mm-hmm.
which is always something good to think about when you ever going by one. But I mean, it was nice. It was nice to experience that with my brother. That was leap day actually, so it's kind of funny. We get an extra day of the year. Why not spend it there? Which is kind of cool to be part of that.
Where was the estate in Mass? Like, where? What? How
Um,
far was it from Boston?
Boston. Maybe like 20 minutes from Boston. It's in Weston, Mass.
Oh, okay.
It's a very wealthy area over there.
Mm.
It's like it was like 5 minutes away. No, it was like 10 minutes, maybe 5 10 minutes west of LaSalle. 5 10 minutes from Regis, which is a college in Weston. It was a very
Mm-hmm.
nice area, but it's loaded money over there. You don't really want to venture over there because you never know what you're gonna see.
Yeah. You talked a little bit about Minahan before. Like I want to just get into this. Like I haven't listened to a WEEI like radio show since Jerry left.
Yeah.
So like, have you been listening to EEI lately?
I don't listen to it. I mean, I can't even go back, but even before Kirk left, because like my summer, my senior year, well, summer going into my freshman year of college, as you know, we were playing Connie Mack. The only time
Mm-hmm.
I listened to like I'll even say with the Red Sox too, was when I was coming home from Connie Mack games.
Yeah.
Or but even in the mornings, unless I was driving to work, I wasn't really listening to it. But then fast forward last summer when Kirk then was gone, I was listening to the Red Sox on the way home, and then that kind of like started me. That made me not listen to EI in the morning. I tune in like on the way to school in the morning, so nothing else was on. But once like I started getting into podcasts, I just kind of forgot about it.
Yeah.
And then once it was not Patriots season, I didn't really didn't want to waste my time with that. But even now, like I don't listen to EI that much. I pretty much listen to podcasts all the time now, especially Kirk's. It's a very long podcast, so if like it's not just like if you miss an episode, you can go to the next one. You have to you have to go like in order because you'll just get
Really?
lost. And it's like sometimes they'll crank out a 4-hour episode that kind of just ruins your day in a way. But like it's even like now, like I'm not driving at college anymore, so it's
Yeah.
like I lose probably an hour, hour and a half of driving time of when I listen to the podcast. So it's very different to like make that time now, but still like not just sitting down on the couch listening to a podcast for 3 to 4 hours.
Do you like Carabas's podcast, Section 10? I listen to that a lot. I like that one. That's
I
probably one of my
I
favorite Barstool like podcasts, kind of.
I tune into that every once in a while. I think because I work in the industry, it's almost like I hear too much of it. You know what I mean?
Mm,
I try not to I try not to think about what the media would think about and let that influence my decisions in the industry I'm in. Because I like the Red Sox, don't get me wrong, but it's like the only time I go to a Red Sox game is if I have tickets. Like I
yeah,
don't watch it
same.
a lot on TV because as you know, we work half the summer anyway. So whenever we're free, we're usually out somewhere doing something.
Right.
But I whenever like actually I did listen to his podcast when they mentioned the Ortiz yard sale because maybe he mentioned me, he didn't, but I listen to that occasionally. Like I'll tune in, but that's like if it's on my number one. I listen to Kirk's podcast most of the time. Then I listen to like a Best of CCK. It's like a Carabas's and KFC's and Casey Smith's show during the week. I really
Oh,
like that
wow.
show. So you get like a best of that during the week, and then if for Barstool at least, because I listen to other podcasts as well, non Barstool. I listen to and if ever part of my take is a good interview, I listen to that occasionally.
Yeah. I like PMT. But going back to the EEI, like I cannot listen. I could never make myself listen to OMF. I can't listen to Ordway, Merlone, Fourier. Like I just think that they're like boneheads. I can't listen to them. Like, do you feel this? Do you feel that way?
I don't even know anymore. I feel like I'm just so far away from it that like I think about when I did listen to them, it was going to work instead of playing music.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't mind it. Like I think I listened to it more during Patriots season when they had Belichick on, but then they switched like times from like morning and afternoon. But if they had an interview, I definitely tried to tune in for that. But if not, I really didn't. I really didn't even tune into EI at all. I liked the morning show. I definitely tune into every morning when I be driving to school.
Yes.
And then Mutt at night. I like Mutt, so I listen to that. But I don't even listen to Mutt anymore, just because like
Yeah.
I just am so tuned out by it at this point.
Like I feel like when I started listening to it, like driving to school with my dad, like high school, like freshman, sophomore, like even a little bit of like junior year too, like listening to Dino, Jerry, and Kirk was like the big three. It would be
Yeah,
like KG, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce. Like it was like those guys were like the goats of radio. Like those guys were like guys that I wanted to like try to be like.
I I remember Dino. I don't remember Dino as much. I remember like listening to him when my dad was driving me to school. But then I think when the time I started driving, probably my junior year of high school, that's when it was just Kirk by that point, just Kirk and Jerry.
Mm,
And then they throw in Reamer or like Tangway or Trenny or Bradford or Trauma. Yeah, I mean like it was all right. I some of them I didn't like, some of them I did like, but it's kind of it's weird how they're all doing their own thing now, which is I
yeah.
mean it's a good thing, but like I definitely like listening to Kirk's podcast. It definitely like it's a nice escape, and I really he really talks about like the stuff that like a lot of people are talking about, like the whole like the whole mental stuff nowadays, and like how people like have issues going on and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why he left EEI, right? Because he was going through like a lot of behind the scenes things. Does he ever talk about that on the podcast?
Yeah, he talks about like his own stuff, but like I mean, I won't go into because I don't feel like I'm at liberty to. But
Right,
like
right,
there
right.
was like station drama that like people are like harassing Kirk on and off the air, trying to ruin his life. So that obviously could contribute to his to his anxiety and depression. But then like part of life, you have stuff going on in your life that can make life harder than usual. And that's just part of it. It's kind of
Right.
it's obviously like I know we all go through it, but it is good to hear that it's not just you in certain times in your life.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. You know, so you still work for like the Paw Sox organization, I guess. Like,
Mhm.
what are they doing right now? Like during this time?
So I have no idea. I'll be honest with you. I have no idea. But I'm more of an intern for them. Technically, I'm still on not payroll. I don't think it's payroll account. I'm still like employed by them.
Mhm.
When like before last year, I just did a summer internship, and then I came back for the last summer. But I've just like constantly been doing stuff for them since last summer. I know they're working on the move to Worcester. I was out there 2 to 3 weeks ago doing some work with them doing some drone work for them. But I mean, for the most part, I don't even know what my role is going to be at this point, just because like as everyone else says, we don't know what sports is going to bring out in the next couple of months
Right.
because depending on the month, my role varies for them. You know, like in April, I do post production because they're short staff.
Hmm.
But in like May, June, July, I'm somewhere else. I'm doing drone stuff. I'm doing ticket office stuff. Then in August, I do all that together because
Yeah.
short guys. Plus, I'm so close by. But I'm interested to see what's going to happen with the team, and how well, not even the team, just the sports minor league in general, because they're having I know minor league players weren't getting paid. Went right.
Really?
Yeah, they were not getting those 2-week checks. Like
Oh, wow.
major league ball players were still getting their checks, but like for minor league baseball players, they once their last paycheck is I knew of the date. I don't know off the top of my head now, but they have to work side hustles in the off season and work out at the same time. Like
Yeah.
that guy in the Twins was an Uber driver while he was in the minor league. I forget his name,
Oh,
but he was.
wow. Hmm.
But like it's not an easy business to
How
be in.
much do you think they get paid in the minor leagues? Like 30, 40K?
Maybe a little high. I don't. It probably depends on like how if they're ex major league players, like what their contract is. But like the base salary is probably not that much.
Hmm.
It's not. It's if you follow Eric Sim on Twitter, he kind of
I don't.
he lays it out pretty nicely occasionally. I wish I knew off the top of my head, but like I remember him saying like after like a monthly check plus rent and food, he had like $12 left at one
Oh,
point,
wow.
and
Jeez.
that's not really obviously it's on a lot to live on.
Yeah.
So
But
it's
once they
kind
get to that first major league game, it's 500K. Like
of is it
once they
is
get to that
it,
once they get to that first game, I'm pretty sure that they get paid like the minimum salary. So as long as they can get to that like at least one major league game, they're gonna get that $500,000 check.
and even now, like the time frame to get to the pros is so much shorter than it used to be.
Right. Yeah.
Like Adley Rutschman, maybe not. He probably would have been this year, honestly, if we had a full season. But it'll probably be next year. Now, he got drafted last year. And he'd probably be in the pros this year. For the Orioles. He's a very good catcher out of Oregon State.
Yeah. Like guys, like if you're getting drafted in like I guess like I mean now it seems like the first 5 rounds, you have a chance to get to the pros in like maybe 3 years, like two years or less at that point.
The
Like
cra- you
the
got it.
best players go to double A, I think. And then, I mean, depending on that, like if they get injured, they go back down to triple A. Is that how it works, you think?
So there's there's kind of a lot of parts to that. So I don't know how many rounds, but I think there's like at least 32.
Right.
They have like round 5 draft pool. It's crazy, but like it doesn't really matter where you get drafted for Major League Baseball. Like I know for like NBA or like even the NFL, you have undrafted free agents for NFL. There's a good chance you can make a team.
Hmm.
NBA, I mean, you got to go through the D League, G League, whatever it's
Yeah.
called
It's
nowadays.
a
But
grind. I really don't think that there have been like any like any like superstar players coming out of like the G League or like even like, anything like that.
yeah, I mean, it's hard. Yeah, like I remember that guy for the Lakers a couple of years ago that made a splash here and there. But at least for like
Yeah.
baseball, like and they're changing it now. They changed the level of drafts for next year. It's like 5 rounds.
Oh,
So like
wow.
that like it kind of goes into college baseball. Like now, like college baseball next season is going to be insane. Like, granted, like D3. Like I know like, the top D3 programs like Babson, Texas Lutheran, or something like that out of Texas. Even Wheaton to an extent, or no, not Wheaton. Yeah, maybe UMass Boston. Like those are like top D3 teams that are usually in the D3 World Series every other year at least. You
Hmm.
might get one of those guys from per team drafted in the late rounds, which is still a great accomplishment. But now that draft pool, even now the draft money's going to go down, so they probably won't get drafted now, which is kind of insane to see because
Yeah.
they're cutting even minor league teams now. Like Lowell Spinners might get cut as an
Wow.
example, and it's different.
Yeah. I mean, I th- I don't know. I don't really know, but I'm pretty sure that Wheaton's like one of their claim to fames in baseball is that somebody has gotten drafted from Wheaton before. I'm pretty sure somebody has gotten drafted from Wheaton. can look that up, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure I heard that maybe it was one of the coaches or something. I don't know. I'll have to ask. I'll have to ask Will. But yeah. So like, what are they telling you, right? Like, what's the plan for the Paw Sox moving forward? Do you think, like, when do you think they're gonna actually like start playing games in that Worcester like trash bucket of a stadium?
Wait, what did you say?
I said that Worcester trash bucket of a stadium.
Um, so one, it's gonna be a great stadium. I'm very much looking forward to the new stadium. Um, but I don't know when they're gonna start. I don't really know anything. As I'm often referred to as the monkey wrench at the ticket office.
Okay.
I have no say, which is good. It's probably a good thing. But I'm looking forward to the season. When they all start out, unfortunately it's the last season in Pawtucket. But I think it's gonna be a good season regardless. I think everyone kind of has the mindset, like we want to leave an impact with Pawtucket. We want to make
Mm,
sure it's not like there's been teams in the past that literally in the middle of the night just leave.
yeah.
And I know the Paw Sox aren't doing that. They're here, they're there because they like Pawtucket. They're there for a reason. They want to leave something special for the fans and the community. And like I know I think that last night or the other day they gave a bunch of masks or stuff like that.
Yeah, I did see that.
They're
Yeah.
still like involved with the community, which is pretty good. And I think like even some of those like I don't know this for a fact, but I bet some of those sponsorships will continue on into Worcester next season.
Right. So let's say this season never happens. Are they still gonna like how many years out are they away from completely moving out of Pawtucket?
So I do not know if the season doesn't happen this year. I don't know what they'll do. I don't know that for example, but I do know next May is when they'd start in Worcester.
Really? Okay.
What I was told. Do not quote me on that. I don't know that 100% sure, but that's what I've been told. But for all I know, if we all like everything shuts down in the country, I bet that will get delayed. Which if that happens makes sense. So I
Right.
like I said, I don't really know. I only know what my boss is telling me, and obviously I'm not there, so
Right.
I'm not really sure what's going on.
But if the season never if their plan is to go to Worcester next May, like you said, or what you've been hearing, like if the season never happens, do they come back? Do they stay for one more season to play it out? If they didn't have a chance to, get that one last season in Pawtucket, like do they come back and do they play, another season as the Paw Sox?
That's
Do you
a
think?
great question. I have no idea. I, you
Okay.
know, I you know
I
I
hope
th-
so. I hope they come back. I hope they
I
do.
yeah I don't think I should comment on that.
You don't know anything?
I
Oh
don't
no,
know. I don't know anything. I don't even think I should comment on that. Just I don't even I don't even know. I'll leave it at that.
right. It's crazy times right now. Nobody really knows. I mean, people don't even know. Like, I was hearing that college sports are going to get affected. Like like football, for example. Like the sport that brings most of the money into the colleges. Like, if that season gets like interfered with, like with this whole coronavirus, like schools are going to be losing a lot of money. Like, what's your take on that as well?
In terms of like just colleges in general, like colleges with sports.
I mean, colleges like with sport, like colleges with sports and with like like LSU for example. Like I was reading this thing where like $50 million like they make from football and everything else like loses them money. Like gymnastics, baseball, like loses them money. So if the fall season is impacted by this COVID-19, like what do you think is going to happen with these like college programs? Do you think they're going to start cutting more sports and stuff like that?
I don't think they'll be cutting sports because of Title IX. Because of Title IX, they have to have a minimum. It's a certain percentage of sports available for them per male and female. And I don't even know about transgender at the time for that. But
Mhm.
I don't think they'll be cutting any necessary programs at the moment. But I mean, I know with like football or like who knows the basketball, like half that money like goes to like the not even half. It goes to the conference.
Oh
I
yeah,
be,
like the
I be,
NCAA
no like
or like whatever conference they're in.
SEC for LSU
Oh,
or
okay, yeah,
something
okay.
like that.
Hmm.
But it's maybe it'll figure out the whole paying college athletes part. Maybe that'll come into play eventually. But
Mm,
it's you don't really know, especially now with the whole virus. You don't know what's going to happen, which is unfortunate. But
yeah.
at the same time, I know I think a lot of colleges are trying to figure out what they want to be able to figure out what's going to happen, but they don't know.
So how do you feel about that, about that debate? Like, should you, I mean, you work with college athletes, you broadcast for the girls soccer team, you've done stuff for the basketball team. Like, do you like, what side are you on with this? Should they pay college athletes?
I think they should pay them, but it if you pay the football team, you gotta play, and this is where Title IX will come into play. You gotta pay as your sister
Hmm.
gymnastics. You gotta pay
Right,
the
right.
gymnastics team. But no offense to any gymnastics out there, depending on which program you're at, I doubt gymnastics programs bring the same amount of revenue the football team brings in.
Yeah, they don't.
So
Yeah.
it's hard to go about to where you draw the line. I think there should almost be like a set salary cap, maybe
Okay.
I don't know what it'd be, but then once that's decided, then you bring it down to D2 and D3, and then even maybe JUCO to an extent. But it's almost like it's almost like I was gonna say it's almost like paying the wage gap between male and female soccer players to the national team. But
Mhm.
even that's a different story. But for college athletes, they do deserve to be paid. Like obviously, like with Zion at Duke, like
Right.
last year, like Clemson or Alabama, they bring in a lot of money. But then you have I'm not no knock against BC, but I'm sure they don't bring in as much money as Alabama brings in. But that's still
Yeah.
money that could be given out to certain players and teams.
Yeah. I mean, I think that if they're gonna pay the college athletes, they have to pay everyone like the same. Like they can't be like I think that if they're gonna pay college athletes, it has to be fair across the board. I mean, to account for you know, people like different sports. Like, I mean, even though like football might bring in all the like most of the money, I mean, it would be unfair to pay, a football player like, you know, I don't even know where to begin with the amount of money, but I think if they're gonna pay college athletes, they have to pay everybody fairly across the board in order to account like things such as like people who play college sports, they don't have a lot of time on their hands. They don't have a lot of time to, or even like a lot of like money to go out and like buy food sometimes. So I think if they're going to pay, an athlete, it has to be fair across the board.
I almost think it needs to be like the percentage of the revenue needs to be the same across the board, if that makes any sense. Like
Okay.
I kind of think of it almost like for women's soccer, because I mean I know a lot of my friends have played women's soccer, and yeah, women's soccer, but then also obviously the World Cup last year, and I've had a couple papers on it. I think if they bring in 100%, if regardless of the revenue, both men's and women's teams get 60% of the revenue, or 40, whatever the case may be. At least it's the same for both teams, because this way, there's no wage gap.
Hmm.
And but then let's say they get 60%, they then split that 60% up among the team, or then the coaches as well, or if they need to.
Right. All right. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to do a quick little ad, our first ad of the podcast. All right. So today's episode is sponsored by Honey. Everybody's at home. We're all hopefully not going outside to the stores to buy non-essential items. So you're probably like me, and you're probably trying to buy stuff online. This is where Honey comes in. You go on a website, and Honey is at work searching the web for coupons for you and saving you the most money. So if you're interested in saving money, and I can't understand why you wouldn't be at this time, while we're in this crisis, this global pandemic, this crisis where you should be trying to save money. I mean, you should just go to joinhoney.com and reap the benefits. Yep, it's joinhoney.com. I mean, you go right ahead. Use Honey, save money. If you don't that should be their slogan. Use Honey, save money. All right, I just made their slogan. They should pay me $1 million for that. All right, let's shift to this. So, Ray, I got a question for you. Um, you know, Tom Brady leaving, and who has the most at stake in this next season? Does Tom Brady have the most at stake, or is Bill Belichick the most who has the most at stake at their legacy at this point?
I think Brady does. I mean, even though Belichick's been not fired, but left certain organizations, he has rings regardless. He's been successful in the league already. I think Brady he wants to prove he can win without Belichick. But I bet Belichick kind of still feels the same way now, even though he hasn't really anything left to prove. But I mean, it'll be a weird season to have it happen. But I wish Brady the best. I'm very grateful for the time he's been here. It's almost like you lost the love of your life, but like it was for the best time you had, so you hope for the best.
Right. I actually feel like that Belichick has the most to lose just because, if Brady doesn't do well in Tampa, there's always that excuse like, okay, well he's old. He's old. Like, he doesn't have Belichick, but he's still like, pushing like early 40s, like 43, 44. Like he's old. I think that Belichick has the most to lose because Tom Brady's, although he's the greatest player of all time, he's one player, and Belichick is responsible for the 21 other players on the field who play. So I think that like Belichick himself, although he might think like, oh yeah, I can do this without Tom, like, all this. I think that Belichick has the most at stake because of what happened last year. The fact that he couldn't bring, a wide receiver in here, like he couldn't bring weapons for Brady. He couldn't do things to help this team. I mean, Brady's done what he has. Like Brady has done something that nobody else can say they've done. Like he's gotten the 6 rings, he's gotten all that, and Belichick has 6 rings too. But I'm just thinking like Belichick now doesn't have the best quarterback of all time on his team. He has, he has Jarrett Stidham. I mean, like, I think Belichick has the most to lose at this point in his career. And Brady, if he does bad in Tampa, I mean, people can sit back and say like, okay, well, he's old. Like, he's already done that. He's already made himself. He's a made man. He's just done what he had. He's done what he had to do, and now it's his turn. It's his time to go.
I mean, I can see where you're coming from. I think like I try honestly, like I don't try to think about it really, just because like you know, as everyone says in Bill, we trust. We even though we got knocked out by the Titans, I think it was the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was a different year. We always seem to rebuild anyway. Sure, whenever we did rebuild, we had Brady already there, so it is different rebuilding without Brady there. But I mean, I think we'll be fine. If not, we'll figure it. They'll figure it out. Like we got Belichick. I'm pretty sure McDaniels is going to be next in line to coach there anyway. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But you know what? They're maybe less fans will go to the games. Maybe I can get season tickets then. That'd be kind of
Yeah.
nice.
How long is the wait? Like, isn't there like a 10-year or whatever?
I've
How many
I've
year
heard
wait?
like I've heard people have been on there for like at least 10 years,
Wow, 10-year wait for season tickets. That's crazy. I mean,
right?
with Brady gone, probably be less, but
I
I don't know.
heard we have friends in Tampa, and and you can get like I don't know. I think it was per one season ticket you can get like $200 for something like that for in Tampa Bay. Before Brady got even like with Brady there right now, you can get so. We
Hmm.
thought about like getting a couple of tickets, just flying down there. Actually, we have some friends down there and just go to the games on the weekends. But
Yeah,
but you don't even. I don't. For all I know, the Bucks won't even be that good. You don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I trust Brady. Don't get me wrong, but you don't know what's going to happen with them.
yeah.
They don't. They may not be like Brady can only bring. Brady can only bring his offensive mindset with him. He can't. He doesn't. I'm sure he has a playbook somewhere, but I think that'd be illegal anyway. But he can't like he can't bring the whole Patriots offense playbook with him. Like it's gonna be different out there, different mindset. Maybe the
Can he bring
players.
TB12 down there with him?
I think they will do that. I think that'd be pretty cool.
You think
Yeah.
that Guerrero and friends will still have like are they making a TB12 site in Tampa like right now?
I do not know that. I know they're where. I know they made one in Boston. It's a nice facility there, but I mean, I don't really know what their future holds for the TB12 Sports Therapy Center.
Mm. All right, so I mean, personally, like even though Tom Brady left and it was heartbreaking, when he left, but at the end of the day, like anybody who's sad or thinking like, oh, this is the end of the Patriots, like they can, I mean, they can they can be a they can be a Tampa fan. I don't care. Like, if you're not 100% like convinced that Belichick can get us to the next Super Bowl, like I don't want you on as a Patriot fan. I don't want anybody who thinks that like I think that Brady like helped a lot in this. But like you said, I mean, now Brady's gone. Now we have to like reset and just rebuild this. I mean, I'm a Patriot fan, before I've been a Patriot fan before I've been a Tom Brady fan. Even though I think Tom Brady is the greatest player of all time, and he still will. I mean, I I can't like unless if the Patriots are playing the Bucks, I'm rooting for the Patriots. But I'm gonna still watch Tom Brady play and stuff. But I mean, at this point, I'm not even really worried about whatever Tom Brady's doing in Tampa right now. I mean, I'm worried about how the Patriots are gonna win the next Super Bowl and get 7. Like, how do you feel about that?
I mean, I think I kind of think about this. I mean, I'm 20 years old. All I've known is Brady being the quarterback for the Patriots,
Mm.
and because he's gone, I think it's okay to see there's going to be Brady jersey, Tampa Bay Brady Buck jerseys here. You're going to see that,
Oh
and
yeah,
it's
of
also
course. Yeah,
okay
yeah.
because that's 20 years you had with the guy. So I think it'll be okay. But you know, it will be rough. I think I kind of think about it kind of like this. Like there are people I know that are in the major that are playing the major leagues, right, for baseball.
Mm-hmm.
When they play the Red Sox, like I root for because I personally know them more. At least when they're playing, I root for them more than the Red Sox because when they win, it brings more to their career or the
Right.
value of
Okay.
their career.
Like Kendall Graveman, for
Yeah,
example,
like
right? Yeah.
whenever Kendall pitches, I hope he throws a perfect game against the Red Sox. Like
Right. Okay.
I
Yeah.
hope that because that adds money to Kendall that increases his value. So
Right.
I root for that. But but then with that mindset with football, I mean I don't know what I like if the Patriots play the Brady, I'm probably rooting for the Patriots just because
I think
I've
in 2021 the Bucks are
yeah it's
coming
something
to
like
Gillette.
that,
I think. Is
something
that?
like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've heard that, but who knows what'll even happen? We might even have a seat. That might even get screwed up because of this season. So who even knows, really?
Right. Another thing I wanted to say is like, now that Brady's in the NFC South and we have basically in the NFC South now you have two for sure Hall of Famers and maybe like a third if you want to like say like if you want to add Matt Ryan in that conversation. I don't think he's really Hall of Fame right now, but Drew Brees and Tom Brady combined for more than 1,000 touchdowns, and in that division alone, there's 1,500 combined touchdowns among the four quarterbacks: Bridgewater, Matt Ryan, Tom Brady, and Drew Brees. So, can we consider the NFC South the best division in football?
You probably can, but even right, like it's almost like this. People thought the Browns were gonna be the best team last year. I know it's the Browns, but we don't know what's gonna happen yet. I don't want to
Right.
get all like concerned about the pre-rankings and everything like that because you don't know. For all I know, injuries happen. God forbid. But you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen in general. So, but on paper, yes, probably they look the best division. I mean, Brady's going to be playing Breeze twice a season now, which is
That's
pretty
going to be
insane to
crazy. That's
think
going to be
about.
insane. I mean, I just find it hilarious that the Saints have been like snubbed out of Super Bowl contention like for what the past two seasons. I mean, they're going to get subbed out again if Brady does what he does in the playoffs.
It's going to be I'm sure I bet somewhere or other it'll either be on TV a Bucks game or a Pats game. I bet everyone's going to be watching one of those two games this year. So
Right.
regardless of the season. So it'll be weird, but I mean,
Did you get a chance to listen to that Howard Stern interview with Brady?
I did not. I've been doing homework all day the past 2 days. It's
He
not fun.
mentioned a lot about like um why he skipped OTAs. Like, do you buy into like he skipped OTAs because of more like the family side? Like Giselle was getting like a little angry at him because he wasn't spending enough time with like the family, and that's why he skipped OTAs. Like, do you buy into anything like that?
Is that what he said, or is that
He
or
said that he had skipped OTAs because he wanted to spend more time with the family. I mean, I can see that, but
I get it.
I mean, I just think that Brady now, like it's clear to me at least that Brady leaving the Patriots, like how the Patriots players are supposed to be, you know, like locked, like they're not supposed to let anything else go out, like their own egos have to be like suppressed and have to be like suppressed to the media and stuff like that. I think that now that Brady's left, we're seeing a different side of Brady. Do you agree with that? That we're seeing more of his not so, I mean, not like in a bad way, but like not so much humble Brady. We're seeing more like a businessman Brady and more about like, me or stuff like that.
I think I don't think Brady remembers what it was like to play at Michigan. Like
Okay, yeah, I
before the
understand that.
Patriots, like at least like you said, the Patriots, it's a buy out of buy-in. Everyone has to buy and know their role. I don't think I think Brady thinks he'll be okay. Maybe I hope for the best for the best, but I don't think he's gonna realize that like, oh man, these guys aren't as serious as I am. And I think
Right,
that's gonna be that's gonna be a different culture shock for him when he gets to Tampa and actually like starts playing with the guys. Like now he can't miss OTAs because like he's
right.
not the system.
And it's not like the Tampa Bay fans like they like I mean even like the players and coaches like if Brady decides to skip like OTAs or decides to like do anything that was like okay for him back in New England like it might have a different taste in the fans' mouth in Tampa Bay. Like it might not, register the same way. Like that whenever Brady like did something, we would always think like, okay, well, it's whatever. He's Brady. He's Brady. Like, do you think the Tampa Bay fans are gonna have that same like mindset that they're gonna like let little things slide like here and there?
If he plays for more than 2 years or 3 years, yes, but within the first year, like Brady needs to be at everything because like even though he's the best, but like if he like throws a bunch of interceptions, is not the same player he was even this year, then people start getting on him about that. I mean, sure, the Boston media markets is a lot more hard to deal with than Tampa's, I assume, but
Yeah.
they can still snap on you pretty quickly if you aren't doing so good.
I mean, I think like the sad thing will be is like if Brady does start doing bad, like I know for a fact that like all the Boston media stations are gonna start ripping Brady, and it's not gonna even be like it's not even gonna be like how they used to like talk about Brady. It's gonna be like, all right, Brady's not on the Patriots anymore. Like we can just rip into this
Yeah,
guy. Like it's gonna be like ruthless. I feel like if he doesn't if he doesn't perform the same way as like he performed in New England, like I know a lot of I can name like a lot of Patriot fans who are gonna be like, oh yeah, of course you can't do it down there, because Bill's not there and this and that. Like it's not the same. It's not the same. Like I mean I don't know. They got to give him a break sometime.
I almost wonder if like I don't know who would it be, but like if there's any other player where they still care, sort of speak.
Probably not. I mean, because like there hasn't really been a player like to his like magnitude who's left, like who's like done something like that. I can't really remember a player like leaving a Boston franchise. I mean, I guess you could say like I mean, I don't really know. Like a Boston, I mean, okay, maybe okay, Kyrie for example. Like Kyrie was a great player in Boston. He left, and now everybody rips on him. And hey, I'm gonna be honest. I get on the ripping of Kyrie all the time. Like I can rip Kyrie for hours. I mean that guy's a clown. But there hasn't been a guy like Tom Brady in Boston that people have like beloved for years. And if people start turning their backs on Tom Brady, like that's when it's gonna be like I mean I don't know, it's gonna be bad if they start doing that because Boston fans are ruthless. Like Boston fans, I mean they're not like all right. For Philly fans are the most ruthless. Philly fans like are like they're idiots and they suck.
I think it depends on how much service time that player had in that former team.
Right.
Obviously 20 years is insane, but like even with Kyrie, that was 2 years. Was it 2 years or 1 year? I can't even remember.
Nah, it was a few years I think.
But even that, like that didn't seem like like a long time for
Yeah.
them here. Sure, there was expectations, but I mean, I don't think there's that much hate for Kyrie in a way compared to Brady.
Mm. And you know the last thing I want to talk about Brady is like Brady here in Boston, like do you think that he meant more to like the city or do you think he meant more to like we think about guys who meant a lot to like Boston, like Big Poppy or like KG, Paul Pierce, like Chara, like Mark, like guys like that, like guys who like make like Boston sports like enjoyable, make Boston sports like the city of what it is. Do you think that Tom Brady like can be considered like one of those guys, like a guy that made Boston sports like that, or is he more of like a California kid still?
Maybe not Boston sports, but he built the Patriots. Like I mean, without him, there's no rings. Pretty
Well,
much
right,
like
yeah,
Like that stadium was a joke before the success. Like
The
there's no
Patriots were a joke before him. The
like
Patriots were.
like I can tell you. Oh, I probably remember half of them, but like my dad, both my mom and my dad worked at Sullivan Stadium back in the day, and like my dad has an old Pats jersey from the team. Like it's a joke compared to what it is now.
Right. But I mean, would you consider like give me like your top 3 like Boston sports like players of this like of our generation, like top 3 like Boston sports athletes.
It's probably Poppy, Brady, and Chara, and maybe Paul Pierce. Probably Paul Pierce.
Really? I would say I would say
I'm,
I would say Ortiz, KG, and Paul Pierce. I think that it's those 3. And I mean I also like a lot of Boston sports athletes, but I personally don't think that Tom Brady, like, he doesn't fit the mold of like, a Bostonian or even like a masshole. I mean, he doesn't even like garner the same like he's not somebody I would consider like all right, he's somebody who's from like Weston, Mass. He's not somebody who's from Boston who's like gritty and who's like, for the city like that. I think that Tom is more like from, I don't know, like Brookline or like something like that, like a nicer neighborhood, not so much like, gritty Boston, stuff like that.
so you're saying Brady would live in Weston, right? Is that what you're
Yeah, I
saying?
think Brady would
Yeah.
live in Weston for sure.
I
I
mean, I
mean,
think it's also the sport and the position. Like, obviously, like basketball is different.
mhm,
I can't even feel like you can judge that. But even like if he was like a linebacker, it would even be more different. But like in his position, you got to be calm and collective, and clearly it worked. Like
right,
he like I just think of service time like Ortiz. He wasn't drafted here,
right.
but like people forget about the Twins time.
Yeah,
You
because
don't
I mean,
remember that.
even Twins fans don't even remember that. Like, Twins fans don't even consider him a twin, pretty much. Like,
Yeah, it's like it's what so like Chara. I mean, we didn't even draft Chara. And
I don't think we
yeah,
did.
he was. We didn't draft Char. He's been here. Like that's the thing. Like it's a service time. How like much he's given to the organization and the city. Like
Right.
Brady cares about Boston. Like I'm sure he does. But I think he's still part. Like at least in my generation, he's up there. But like at least for the Patriots, either way, he's there.
Oh
Like
yeah, in
they
Patriots,
like
he's probably like number 1 or number 2. I mean,
yeah
I really don't think that there's been. I mean, I guess you could. I mean, if you wanted, you could add like Gronk or like Edelman, like those kind of like, or even like guys like
Vinatieri.
yeah, Vinatieri, like Teddy Bruschi, like stuff like that, like old Patriots, like from '04, like that. But I just think like, I mean, Big Poppy, I think, is number 1 no matter what. I think that Poppy, at least in my lifetime, like, the 18 years I've been alive, like, they're like when Poppy, like when he played his last game, like, I'm not ashamed to say this, like, I cried. I cried my eyes out when I saw him walk off that field for the last time. And when
I,
Brady left the Patriots, I didn't shed one tear. I didn't shed one tear.
I don't even remember Poppy's last game. I
Really?
don't even remember.
All right. Well, they play it every night on Nesson, so you can catch it out.
I
You
don't
can ca-
even like. I just don't even remember that. To tell you the truth. I mean, but I think it's also like we didn't know Brady's last game. I mean,
Yeah, it's
we
true.
didn't,
I
but
mean, well, after the fact we did, but we never knew. Like, we always kept thinking, like, all right, he's gonna get this last. He's gonna keep winning. He's gonna keep winning. Like, I think every Patriot fan hoped that he would at least leave on a good note and not leave, losing to the Titans and stuff like that.
yeah, it's part of it. But he never. It's life, I guess. It's just part of the game.
Yeah. I mean, before he was talking also on the Howard Stern podcast or the Howard Stern show that he knew he was leaving the Patriots before the season even started. Like, he knew he was leaving. Although he tried to conceal, oh yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. Like, the fact that he finally said it, the fact that he finally said, like, yeah, I knew I was leaving the Patriots at the beginning of the year. Like, to me, that's almost like to me that's where I kind of like hold back my like I was never surprised that he was gonna leave, but I'm surprised that he's even said that on the Howard Stern show. I'm surprised he even mentioned that he knew he was going to leave before the season even ended. Like, that's surprising to me. Like,
I mean, it's not great to hear, but you know, he doesn't owe us anything. I just think he doesn't owe us anything,
That's
honestly.
true.
He
Yeah.
doesn't. He took how many pay cuts? He took. I'm not. I don't think it owes us anything. I mean, I wish I was able to go to the. I had tickets to one game this year. I wish I was able to go to that, but I was not able to. I wish I
Mm.
was able to enjoy more of the season this year, just because like I feel like I didn't really watch any Patriots games this year, just because of like scheduling. But you know, it is kind of weird not seeing him on TV like in the Pats uniform. But you know, I still think about the good times we had with him and stuff like that.
And yeah, that's all we can do at this time. Like all we can do is like, I mean, you're right. He doesn't owe Patriots fans anything. Like he's he's done what nobody else can do. Like he's gotten this organization six rings, like six banners, pretty much. Like before that, like I don't even like before Brady and Belichick combined forces, like there's no like none of that. Like Brady has given this organization and even like New England so much. Like we shouldn't be trying to like say like we should just be thanking him for like the time that he spent here, thanking him for all the memories that he's given us, all the great games he's given us. Like Brady's Brady is a showman. I mean, he gave us as sports fans, or at least me, like I mean, the best 18 years. I mean, anyone could ever like. There's nobody who's. I mean, people from Boston, like, I mean, I think that we're spoiled. We get championships and parades like almost every year, like clockwork. Like he really contributed to the new golden age of Boston sports. I mean, how do you feel about that?
I mean, he definitely contributed. For me, it's like I gotta think of it like this: we didn't have a personal connection with Brady.
Mm-mm.
So like, you know, it's not like we lost someone we cared. I mean, yeah, we didn't really lose anyone we cared about. Like,
Right.
sure, you can say we care about Tom Brady, but like, you know,
I mean, he doesn't
like I
know
don't know him.
me. Like,
I don't know him. Like that's how I just
right,
think about it. Like, sure, I've seen him, but like, great, I've seen him. But you
right.
know, I just started thinking about it. You know, like when you say like you cried about Poppy, I think that's what, yeah, you know, that means he had a big impact on your life. Brady's had a big impact on, I'm sure, plenty of people's lives, but it's like, you know, I don't think we met him, so it's kind of like, all right, I wish you the best of luck in what you do. You gave us 20 years. You gave us a lot of thrills. Like we had how many parades the past 20 years? It's
I
insane.
can't even count them all.
You
Like,
not
there's
even
so
for
many.
him, just even Boston.
Yeah, I've been to I think I've been whenever a Boston team wins, I always go to it. I've been to like the actually I didn't go to the Bruins parade when they won, but
Yeah, I'm gonna go to that one.
Celtics, Red Sox, like everything. Like and I think the reason why I felt like I had, more of a like not a connection, but like when the whole Boston Marathon like bombings happened and Poppy like said that like
Yeah,
he said like this is our effing city. Like and I mean for him to say that at that time, like, I mean, it just made like me like being from New England and being like in that surrounding area. And I mean, you like, how many miles away from that were like, how many miles away from Boston do you live?
I don't know, miles is like 20, 25 minutes, depending
I
on
mean, so
traffic.
like, so when that bombing happened, like even for me who lives in Providence, like it affected everybody in New England. Like there
Yeah,
were like it was like magnitude waves, like people like I mean you felt like how people were feeling, even if you weren't even from Boston. And
yeah,
for Papa to say that, it was just like amazing.
my school was on lockdown because my school was near UMass Dartmouth. So when the Zarnaev guy was like, people thought they were going back there. My school got on lockdown for that. It was kind of
Mm.
that was kind of crazy, but you know,
Yeah. That was like my favorite Barstool chapter of the documentary when they
yeah,
discuss like about like what they were doing during that time. I mean, just like it was just insane. Like, do you remember where you were when it happened?
a little bit. I think I was in my living room. I don't know if I might have been visiting a neighbor around that time frame. I'm not exactly sure. I remember where they caught him. I remember where I was when that happened because it was my dad's birthday. I was downstairs watching it live with them. But I mean, besides that, like I don't. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, besides that, I like it didn't really affect me that much. Like I was kind of more concerned about the safety of people at that
Right.
point. But like even like, you know, the marathon runs by LaSalle. So
Mm.
like, unfortunately, this year's kind of different. And last year I couldn't because of prior engagement. But it's like, we're more connected to it now because like it goes by LaSalle. Like it's a big day over there, which I was looking forward to this year. But will probably happen next fall now, which might be even better. But I think as we grow older, we definitely see it more because we're able to understand what the magnitude and what's going on.
Right. Well, Ray, this was a great podcast. I'm glad to have you on. Anything else you want to say? Any last remarks you want to say to the
No,
fans?
I enjoyed it very much. Cam, thank you for having me on the podcast.
All right. Let me just stop recording.